Alright, good evening everyone. Welcome to the Monday, June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Town of Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners. The time is now 6:36. I will call the meeting to order. We have all members present. The first item on the agenda is to approve the meeting minutes of May 19th, 2025. I believe they've already been emailed out to everyone. Entertain a motion on that.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
There's a motion made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's a vote. Next on the agenda, administrative update. We have abatement requests, drain later renewals, and miscellaneous. Robin?
I don't have any abatement requests,
Okay,
no drain layer renewals,
perfect.
and I have nothing miscellaneous to chit-chat about.
We're moving right through.
Yeah.
Okay. The fourth item, I'm moving down, is an OPM Owners Project Manager contract update. Dave?
Okay, so just a summary of that. So the contract template was sent over to DPC a couple weeks ago. They've added some additional verbiage to it. So I forward that to town council.
Yep.
We deal with Dave Corrigan over there. They're gonna just make sure it's all applicable to the contract that we have out. They're gonna get that back to us once we accept it, that contract. We'll bring in the company DPC at maybe the next meeting.
Okay.
And then we should have that, we're hoping within a couple weeks, and then have that contract in hand in a couple weeks, and then you guys could obviously discuss the contract at that point. So.
In terms of I imagine at this point a lot of it is language generally speaking, are there any deal breakers or any issues like that?
No, it's just some.
Oh yeah, we don't have to get into.
No, I mean no. There was
stuff.
just some they just outlined a few extra things. Governing authority, us, and so there's not much. Honestly, they added some of their own verbiage to it.
Yep.
I think it's like I said, we sent it over to the attorneys to have them look at it. They did spell out owner project manager. I think it's all just legalities at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we accept that,
Okay.
they'll come up with a contract.
And after we have all of the boilerplate, language done. Does that bring us into rates at that point, or are we already there? Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna once this gets accepted,
Yep.
the template,
Yep.
as
Okay.
it would, we'll have them forward the drafted contract,
Okay.
and then as a board, you guys will have to look at that. You obviously want to take a little time to take, and then we'll see where you are with that. And then if it's something you don't want to do, we can go back and forth. We're more than happy to go back and forth with them on certain items, like if just for example, if you need somebody out once a week on site, or however you want them to summarize something, or weekly Zoom meetings, any additional verbiage in that contract, you can stipulate that, and we could ask for that. And then you never know, the contract could come in higher than we think. It's usually based on a certain percentage of the project, from what my understanding is. And if you're not happy with that, you'd have to, you tell them to go back and sharpen your pencils, and then, you go from there. I would recommend, where this is a newer engineering company that we haven't dealt with in the past, that maybe you actually, as part of the contractual, is put in a probationary period in that too. It's just something I would recommend, just seeing how I've done some of the contract. I've never dealt with a contract of this magnitude, $5 to $10 million contracts we've done for paving, associated with that. But this is a $35 million contract we're dealing with, that they'd be overseeing. So, I would just recommend that.
Yeah, no, that makes really good sense.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions on that?
No.
Mr. Simmons, Mr. Ryan?
I do, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Once they give it to you in the 2 weeks, if it works out that way, and then you guys review it, I assume you're gonna send it via email. Are we gonna have to book a meeting sooner rather than later to address it? Or will the monthly meeting suffice.
Realistically, if we get it in 2 weeks, we're probably gonna need at least a week.
2 weeks, yeah.
At least a minimum of a week just to review it. If we're gonna look, do due diligence, I would say we wouldn't get really addressed till almost next meeting anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
The end of
I just-
July.
That's
So
what,
we were originally
right,
thinking.
yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
That's fine.
I think if we're gonna do due diligence, I don't think we'll get it there any faster.
No.
How broadly speaking, like in terms of all the timing here with the SRF and,
Yeah.
you know, with the design coming back to us from White Pierce, how does that all align or doesn't align?
It does,
And
I
if it
mean,
doesn't,
I'm
I'm
gonna
concerned.
touch base on the
Okay.
right pair schematic of that anyways, so,
Okay.
because it all should fall in line where if you schedule the last meeting, the
Yeah.
last week in July,
You know,
you know, hopefully everything falls in line where
everything should line up that
you're
way.
looking at that contract, you're having Wright Pierce coming in for their preliminary design report.
Okay.
You know, and then, you know, and I'll touch base on the SRF funding because all that's due in, you know, contractually in October. So it's not that far away.
Right.
And again, I mean, like, oh yeah, like, I mean, like, I hear exactly, Matt, what you're mentioning though. Oh, but on the flip side to it, if we have information and we have the ability potentially to potentially have DPC locked up by the time Wright Pierce actually comes in and presents a design at our next meeting, potentially then we could, even though it's a stretch and a long shot, like I get that, but like we might be able to hopefully even maybe have DPC here working on our behalf for that as well. Like it's a long shot and I don't want to rush.
As long as we have time.
Any part of the
As long as we have
process,
time to
yeah.
read the contract, I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Like I said, if
I mean I'm just, you know what I'm saying, if that makes sense.
You could be bouncing that back and forth a little bit.
No, I
My-
agree, yeah.
From what I've dealt with contracts before,
Yep.
it's been a, you know, push and pull. You know, I don't think the first draft is, yeah.
No, I wholeheartedly agree, but like I just like at this point, like I'd be cautious about ruling out a meeting because there by the grace of God, everything aligns, which it probably won't likely align, but if
Yeah.
by the grace of God it does, we like at least keep our options open, even though, I mean, right now on the last Monday in June, like this place isn't really appealing to be here. I love all of you, but
Thank you.
You didn't love zooming in here in 98-degree weather?
I didn't even have to zoom in today. Anyways, okay.
So that's essentially where we are with that anyway. So it's, right now the lawyers have it. I would imagine, we'll have some answer by the end of the week on that.
Any other questions? Walter,
No.
have anything making? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, I'm moving on, like superintendent hiring update.
So Laura has a new candidate, I believe we do, start that process all over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically where we're at. We had 2 candidates, one worked out, but obviously didn't work out, took a job elsewhere. The second candidate did not feel as appropriate.
Could we have the ability to maybe, if we're talking about action-packed July meeting, having it, maybe a final, have an interview then?
I'll talk to Laurie, see if we can't set that up. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, that's all assuming the process works
Agreed.
and everything works. If it doesn't work, that's all part of the process too, so.
Agreed.
Good.
I mean, I have one suggestion on this, and
Sure.
I think I've talked to you about it, maybe at some point, if it doesn't work out for the next, because I know the next candidate doesn't, well, we'll touch base on that, her experience level, is you may have to change the dynamic on what you're looking for a superintendent. So where we are right now, it's when we had a very viable candidate. And what he did, I think one of the main issues was, and I know we touched base on this before, is if you're coming from a work dynamic where he was coming from the city where he's had 20 people underneath him for doing all the tasks and the collections and the field work and the inspections, and then you come over to this dynamic, which Walter is very well aware of, like that superintendent's going out, you're popping manholes, you're doing inspections, you're doing grease
In the
trap
field,
inspections
everything.
at 5 o'clock in the morning. So
Yep.
it's not appealing to somebody that's coming from that. And I mean, the money is good. It's middle of the line right now, but it's also if you're somebody for looking for a job and you're looking for that 10 or 15-year job, is that what you want to do? Do you know what I mean? Or do you
Yeah.
want to go somewhere where you're handling the management aspects and you know, the governing bodies and procurement and everything else gets done. So my suggestion would be, if you don't get another candidate, we've been kicking this can down the road for, obviously this is my third time over here, is maybe you look at changing the dynamic of that superintendent. Maybe it's not a superintendent, but maybe it's a working superintendent, and maybe that person is in charge of the day-to-day and the field inspection, and it's a mid-salary job, and then you'd have to have somebody oversee the rest of the aspects, the procurement, the governing bodies, the managerial aspects.
No, and I personally think your point is well taken, but that, and I agree with you based on the setup, the structure, the market, everything there. Like, I mean, like, for anyone watching at home who is interested, please apply. It's really great here.
Right.
But, I mean, like, that's almost like really like I mean, like, I don't want to say a wholesale change of the department, but like, I mean, like, our rate structure like is based on just that. Just the FTE employee base we have, and if we're talking about doing that, like, we have to add, broaden out collections. I don't even want to say like even more, because there's no, I mean, we don't have a huge foundation with collections anyways right now, like, other than the superintendent. But we'd really have to think about broadening that aspect out, and that plays into our rate structure as well, because we need to be self-sustaining too. So
You'd have to look at it the way we're looking at it down here also, because we're paying for that field work to get done. We're subbing it out. We're subbing all that out. So if you actually compare those numbers on what is being
Okay,
subcontracted out for field work, that's just as easy as like asset management.
Yeah.
Going out, popping the manhole, looking at the assets
Okay.
or the sewer manholes. And if you're not paying somebody else to do that, or even an on-call. Like Viola right now generally assists us for that, but they don't, but we get charged for it.
Mhm.
So, you know, if you start to weigh that out, that
So they'll
position,
offset each other.
the position would end up offsetting, and then we've talked about it, maybe additionally down the road, you add another person to the collections, and you're handling more of that field work instead of subcontracting it out. So, I mean, I know it's a while away, but like, if it's not working the way we're putting this out
Agreed.
right now, we
Yep.
have to think outside the box
Wholeheartedly
on how
agree.
we're gonna fill that.
It's
If we're
just-
not set up for a DPW, because of town charter, or we're not set up for certain types of that dynamic, but we have to start thinking of how we're going to approach this job. Because it's not exactly the perfect job for somebody to come in who's been in an office for 15, 20 years and wants to come out, because like some days I don't want to go do a police traffic inspection
Yeah.
or an inspection. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
So, so it's just an idea. You may want to start thinking about it if a couple of the candidates don't work out.
Is this all explained to the candidates prior to interviews?
Well, there's a summary.
Yeah,
So
Right.
Matt's asked me to do a summary, so we do a summary, and I can forward you. I think.
we all read it here.
Yeah, right. I can forward you like essentially what is expected for that job.
Yeah,
Right, and it's a lot, and it's not really even some of the little small things that are done.
right.
So that we sub out. So every aspect of field work is subcontracted out.
So is it similar to what John Rockland was doing for 14 years when he was here?
It is, but the whole scope of everything has changed. It's amped up. So when John was here, John was handling the I&I on where we were 10 years ago. But where we are right now, it's ramped completely up. It's a different animal,
Yeah.
completely. I mean, even Robin's been, how long have you been here?
6.5 years.
6.5 years, and how much has it changed in 6.5 years?
A lot.
A lot. It's, I mean, and it's really not to anybody's fault, because every town, it's based on the monetary values, what the money that we had available
Right.
10, 15, 20 years ago. There wasn't. People didn't want to go up. They weren't thinking of it. Everybody right now in every town is in the same.
Right.
We're probably more ahead in certain aspects. Like the GIS, we started that 5 years ago. Some towns haven't even started that. And it's going to be required that all your assets are submitted to the state. And we're ahead on that. So we are ahead on certain types of things.
Yeah.
So you have to start thinking as a board, and if you're ever gonna start thinking about it, now's the time because you have a new board. Do you know what I? Do you know what I mean?
Is the salary reasonable compared to other towns?
The salary is reasonable for a superintendent. For we're a mid-sized town, but it's
Right.
just it's the job scope.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Everything.
mean?
It's everything under the sink.
Right.
Yeah.
Like John Laughlin had it down to a science. He would come in,
Yep.
do his grease traps for early in the morning, and then he'd have that time at the end of the day where he'd do his 8. You know what I mean? And then other times he would work longer. So it was good, but it's changed dramatically since even when I started 10 years ago, and when we used to assist John. Like John would call us up on certain things.
Yep.
So, and then you also have the open drainage over here too, which people completely forget about.
That's a huge, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a big issue too.
That's-
It's big, and it's getting worse.
by the year.
Right, like if you see what we have for projects, and then we have to pull permits for those projects now. So those projects aren't just costing us for the time and materials like we used to do. We have to go to conservation and pull permits for it.
Permits.
And then once we're doing that, we're getting an engineer. And once we get an engineer, it has to get peer reviewed by conservation. So before we even start an open drainage project, we're into it for $20,000 to $30,000.
Where before we could get away with not paying for engineering and doing that in-house.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So-
when John was doing some of the collection stuff, he would be able to grab someone from Suez, which is, we have to pay for now with Veolia, so that's costly.
So it is, and there's a lot of things we don't get charged for, but other things we have to get charged for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we looked into what it would cost to add 2 people down here for collections. It was over $200,000. So, and you could go that route.
But how much do we subcontract out?
Do that analysis.
That,
No,
that we could do.
That's what
Like
you
we
take away,
could
dollar for dollar. I
pull a
mean,
spreadsheet of actually how much time Veolia has in for those. But I mean, I'm telling you right now, some of it's not. You're not marking up some of it. It's
No,
not
no.
even getting. You know. It's not. We're not getting accountable.
No, I understand that. I understand
Yeah.
that could be a complete apples to apples type of thing.
Right.
But at least it gives you the ballpark. I mean, if we're already subbing out 150 and we're talking about adding 200,
Right.
that's a big difference. We're
Yeah.
talking about $50,000 swing.
Right.
Well, if you're trying to do 200,000, only subbing out 50,000, that's a much bigger problem.
Right. Well, it's changed a little bit too because before, when you had when the other board was on, they would call a couple contractors, and any calls that came in, correct me if I'm wrong, they would just sub out any of the calls.
They would, so they would hire a contractor to come out and assess the problem, because we didn't have a superintendent, and then pay the
Individually, every individual problem?
Yeah,
Yes.
because the phone rings off the hook. There's a lot of stuff that happens in
So we
the street
didn't have
with
anyone on call
manholes.
at all?
No, we
Other
don't.
than
not.
Veolia?
No,
It's
like
not
right
like
now,
you.
if there's an emergency
They don't do
call,
collections.
I get.
Who do we have,
emergency
like, have we done on-call procurement to have anyone just sit on
We're
there?
working on that, but
Okay.
right now it's me. That's
And
my
before
job.
that, John would go out and do it, but
Right.
we don't have,
So
like,
right
he would
now,
grab
the
someone to pull
number
a
goes to
manhole.
me, I answer, I contact Dave.
So if
And
there's an
then we work
emergency
with-
like today, we had an emergency on Colby Street, on Pond Street. We had a full blockage.
Okay.
Robin forwards me, I go out, I deal with the homeowner. We deal with that. I assess the situation. I pop some manholes, look at it. I go, yes, we have a blockage. I call Hoadley up. We come out, we remedy the problem.
So the difference is David went out and assessed the problem. Last year, we had a problem on that same street. We paid Hoadley
Yeah.
to assess the problem and then fix it, and we ended up spending $6,000, same area. We're back we're back there again this year.
Right, so we're gonna, you know, just as an example, we're gonna have that sewer, the end of the line, it's hard to explain, but the last sewer manhole has another 8 feet added onto it, and their lateral is tied in probably 8 feet before it. So what we think is what's happened is that sewer manhole has dropped a little bit, and all that, any little residual grit, it makes its way back into that manhole, and eventually it builds out, and they're the first lateral on it, so it clogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'd be looking at you know, see, maybe we update that sewer manhole, we bring it up higher and we pitch it, and then we don't have that issue. So, but again, that's just an example. And, you know, we can put that together because you're literally hiring engineers to do field work.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what we were doing. We're not doing it right now because I don't mind doing it. But I'm saying you may get, it's hard to find somebody like that wants to go do the field work, but then wants to come in and call DEP and go over something with DEP.
Right.
Do you
Like,
know what I
not to preach, I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. This is exactly what you're talking about in terms of the alignment, the coordination. This is why we need a DPW, Rockland. This is exactly why we need a DPW.
mean? Right, but
So-
we're just not set up right now.
Oh, I know
so that's
that,
why I'm
but, like,
trying to
I mean-
figure out how to come up with something.
Like everyone, like at all these prior meetings, introduces all these scare tactics. Oh, it's too big for Rockland. All these things. No, this is exactly what fits Rockland. Sorry.
Well, at some point it will make sense because what you can do is you can use all the people from every, and you merge that together on an emergency. Like you're not subcontracting everything out. If you're a DPW, you have guys out there with a license, and they're going out and they're rebuilding a sewer manhole, or they're fixing that. So you're saving the amount of money you'd be saving that you're not subbing out. Like we have to do an on-call service. We haven't had anything like that because we've been rotating different vendors in. But now all our vendors are so busy right now that we have to do that, and we're working on that bid right now. Because I have to do it for sewer, and I also have to do it for stormwater. So, and it's because the procurement we have over at Highway covers us on stormwater, but doesn't cover us on sewer.
Got it. Okay.
If that makes sense. And then we use that contractor that has the bid, does a lot of large scopes, and will come in and do like 3 or 4 small projects. But they can't come over for an emergency. Like it's not in their best interest, right? So again, that's why we're working on those.
That
So,
makes sense.
yeah.
And part of that comes up over and over again is residents will call, they have an issue, they don't know if it's a plumbing issue, they don't know if it's a street, so we'll ask Violi to go and pull both manholes to see if there's a flow, and if there's not, or there's a problem, then the superintendent has to go out and kind of figure out what needs to be addressed, and then let the homeowner and let them know if they need a drain cleaner or if it's a plumbing issue. We assess that for people because they just don't know. And a lot of times their plumber will even say, call the sewer department, because 10 feet off the house, the plumbers can't touch it, then it's a drain layer issue, and the superintendent will go out and assess that for them and tell people what they need to do.
Thank you. Anything else on superintendent hiring update?
No.
Okay. Next on the agenda, the FY 2025 auto allowance. Probably like a few weeks ago, the interim superintendent brought to my attention that up until this year really, there was a process each year where the sewer commissioners, meaning the elected board of commissioners, received like a fiscal year auto allowance, and to the tune of a few $100s a year. When this was brought up this year, based on what I understand, there were some folks at town hall who had a question about it being processed. So here we are, as a board, having an opportunity to talk about it. So really, like it's our choice as a board. We have it budgeted. It's always been budgeted. But we have a choice as a board to decide whether an auto allowance that would go to us as commissioners to conceivably drive back and forth to our meetings and do any of the work of the sewer commissioner, like really practical or conceivable in 2025. And like I thought we should bring this back to the board for a full discussion. You know, like there are like other boards who are elected, who volunteer, like all other boards in town who are elected and volunteer. They they do it to volunteer. They don't have any type of salary, stipend, vehicle allowance. I frankly don't know how the sewer department here and the commissioners here, whoever they've been, have actually, how this practice has really continued up until 2025. That's just my own take on it. Based on the alignment that the town has tried to have with elected officials. Like if I had to guess, it would have something to do because we, like as the sewer department, we do have an enterprise fund in which our budget is drawn from, which is really like still the ratepayers, but it's not the tax base. But like I mean, like I didn't, I'll sign up to do this for the money. Like even though you know, like I mean, a few $100s is helpful. It's I mean, I'm not. I mean, like it feels weird telling me a few $100s because, I mean, geez, like going to a grocery store every week is insane right now, and everything else we do. But like I just, like I wanted to open it up really to the board to see what we, collectively thought about it. I will say for all the, like for all the like reforms that was supposed to have happened with some previous boards. I'm kind of really surprised that this is something that really has continued to happen up until now. And I'll just leave it there. But
So again, I mean, I think the only issue is, this was something that was voted on by the board prior.
Mhm.
So I do have some questions, concerns how the town kicked it back when it's a voted on process. So I do have concerns with that. I don't know why it was kicked back. But going forward, I agree with you 100%. I have no issue with not receiving any compensation. I never knew there was any compensation. I never did this for the compensation.
if I signed up, I would have lobbied for more. If I had
No, which is absolutely fine. I do have some concerns about how somebody could take something that was voted by this board, or a previous board, and decide not to pay it from the town's level. I do have some concerns about that.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Sure.
So I don't know how the other departments work, if the department head approves the warrants and the payroll, but for sewer, you guys aren't here, you have to drive down here every week and approve that warrant and the payroll. So other people may not need to have an auto allowance, because they might not be driving into town every week.
They're driving
It
in
might
for
be
the
a
regular
department
job.
head who's already working. I don't know how many boards are responsible for that.
But like I know the like select board, just as an example, they have to sign the Board of Health. They would need to sign.
Every week they're signing?
Yeah, likely yes, or they have designated one of their members to. That would be my guess. I don't have any idea. The planning department like is now probably like set up and structured with the planning director as the department head. That would be my guess. But like I mean, like if I had to pick really any, the school committee, they have to sign. Yeah, like, so right off the top of my head, there's 3 anyways that would very likely need to sign.
Well, like I said, I'm going forward, I have no problem with it at all.
Who signed it in the past?
Who signed it here in the past?
Pardon?
Oh, who has signed it here in the past? Like it's been a member of the board or a representative of the board. And like I mean, like from my understanding, like it was just really like a commonplace type of practice or procedure that happened every year.
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah. And I mean, like again, like that. I mean, like I really do think that worked very well, like it was fine, for the years that it happened. Yeah, but like in looking at it, now that we have an opportunity to look at it now, yeah, I can understand what it, really is, and evaluate, whether or not it's really needed. Yeah, like, I mean, I don't anyways, like, and I'm just one of us, I really don't, yeah, like, I really don't, see the need. I mean, like, again, like, we didn't even have any idea, like, it was a thing until we volunteered. The same way when I volunteered to coach soccer, like, coaching is a strong word, but, like, I mean, like, I'm not really looking, I don't know, like, we're doing things, like, because, like, we,
Right.
I mean, like, we wanna serve, rather, I mean, like, $200, even though it's helpful, it'll be a drop in the hat of some bill, I'm like, it's not really why we're here, I don't think, so.
No.
I would agree. I mean, obviously, for this past year, that's already been voted on. That was going to be paid out for whatever it was this year. Going forward next year, we would disband it going forward.
Well, I think we have the ability to disband it now in FY25 as well.
We budgeted for this year and we budgeted for next year, it's been approved.
But just because we budget, we don't have to spend it. I mean, like, it just rolls back into retained earnings or revenue into the enterprise fund.
So we're just gonna, so we do have the ability, even though it was voted on for the previous board,
Yes,
we have the ability to stop it now.
Yes.
That was my question.
yes.
I'll make a motion to stop. I will make a motion to disallow the auto insurance. I mean, the auto allowance going forward.
But are we gonna allow the auto insurance though?
I mean, the auto.
I'm kidding.
Appreciate it.
We'll need
The insurance. Yeah,
vehicles.
make a motion to disband or get rid of the.
Auto allowance?
Thank you.
The motion made,
Second it.
motion made, seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's
Aye.
unanimous.
Can I read it back if you don't mind? I'm gonna say motion to discontinue the auto allowance for fiscal year 2025 and going forward.
Perfect.
I like that. Is that okay with you? Everyone
Yeah,
agree with
absolutely.
that? Thank you. Okay, on to the good news front. We do have good news in terms of additional allocations from ARPA to, I think I'll put to bed the, I guess Howard Show might be a strong word, but the generator project.
So the requested amount by the town was 249. The sewer department was allocated 104,624. So that will help alleviate obviously some of the overages on the generator, because what we did is we used some of the ARPA
Mm-hmm.
money that was for the plant upgrades to offset with the generator project. So we were gonna, whatever we had fiscally over was gonna help replenish that this year. But this is obviously, good news for us because that will help, so. And we only have a couple small items we're kicking around right now. I think we just got a credit from Cat, I think last week or the week before, right, I think on one item.
That you just showed me, that,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
How
one.
much was that for?
it was like $54 or something.
No, I'm talking about the one from 2 weeks ago, not the other
I
one.
didn't see that.
There was one from Cat, so, and then we got a couple small items where we're going back and forth on, and then that project will be completely wrapped up, so.
Yeah, like, I mean, just in terms of Apple, like, I mean, like, I know we're working through it, like, and rebuilding different things for the town, which, I mean, inherently is a work in progress anywhere. But the fact that, the town administration and the select board, really, like, with APA have consistently worked to make sewer a priority. I mean, like, in terms of using the town's, almost all the town's APA resources to deal with the sewer. I think it's a huge credit to them.
Agreed.
Like, now again, they have an opportunity you have to go back to the well because there were towns that didn't draw on the whole allotment, and you know like when the town, the select board, the town administration went back to the well, they again prioritized sewer, and I mean yeah that's great. I mean we're grateful. I mean
I agree.
it's yeah like I mean like it really shows what we're trying to rebuild here. So.
Yeah, they were very proactive on that because they knew there was gonna be some overage with that project, so. And the fact that other towns didn't use those funds is mind-boggling, so.
It's,
Right?
Yeah,
Just left the money on the table.
yeah. Right. But it's okay. Our benefit.
yes.
So, thank you for that update. Superintendent update.
Well, I have a few things, I'm gonna try to shorten it up a little bit, but I know, we're getting to the end of the fiscal year, so, this is the time of year when we, additional compensation for Robin, we wanna continue that stipend as we have in the past. You know, that is a $200 a week, and Robin's been very good about scheduling and handling all the IPP. Scheduling with all the contractors, and then she does the calendar for me, and I just go out and do the inspections, so. So that helps a lot, not to mention everything else that she's been doing. But I would just recommend that we just keep that going with the way we are right now, and,
Yeah, like when we voted it at the end of last calendar year, we voted it through the end of the fiscal year, if I recall.
yeah.
So, I mean, practically speaking,
Looking at probably to the beginning of the next year, calendar year next year, realistically.
that's exactly, yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
How about, yeah, like just for process through the end of the calendar, continuing the stipend, like as it exists right now, through the end of the calendar year.
I'll make a motion to extend it exactly as it is right now, the stipend exactly how it is right now, until 1/1/26.
I'll second that.
And then just to clarify, then it would be a review date to make sure that we're, That
Yes, at the
everything's-
December meeting.
okay,
Yes,
All right.
yes.
okay, just in case
No,
that has to be
absolutely.
continued, so,
Absolutely,
just wanted to make sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Who
How-
was, who
oh,
was
sorry.
the second? I'm sorry, I missed the second.
I second.
Well,
Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
I can just, as we're generally on a topic, Dave, please tell me there's not like an end of the fiscal year. Did we appoint you to the end of the fiscal year?
No, well, that was the
Or was
other
it-
part of that, that was to the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
So you would have to look at, upgrading that as well at some point.
Well, we're at the
Not
end of the fiscal
upgrading,
year.
not upgrading, but continuance.
You know,
Oh, so we're at the end of the fiscal year,
We're right now until the end of this fiscal year.
which ends in 9 days, 8
Right.
days, 7 days.
That's why we're here, yes.
Just wanna make sure we're all on the same page here.
Yeah. That's all. Just looking for the legalities of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to split hairs. But I think like something like this, should really be on the agenda.
Yeah, that's fine, I'm more than happy to push it to then.
However, though, like we have, to get, really from tonight, yeah, like another month. So you have the continuity that you need as well, like, and we as a department. So like if we can get it on, the July agenda, yeah, like, and then, yeah, how about like if, yeah, Dave, like if you're okay with it, we'll appoint you through the our vote to like extend your role as it was previously approved through the end of July 2025, like in that will give us the ability like at the next meeting like to really like look at how I like instruct you out how long you'll be with us. like and maybe like at that point as well, like it will provide some really better clarity about where we are or where we aren't in hiring as well.
Mhm.
And like I actually like think the timing there like will really give some clarity because like if we know that we're not gonna have or someone say the start hypothetically like September 1st, like we have to we really have to think more long term at that point is really
Agreed.
what I'm getting at.
Agreed. I will make a motion to roll David's current position over until the vote on 7/25's meeting.
Yeah, like is that okay with you? Does that make sense? Are you
Yeah,
okay with that?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate it, David.
Thank you, Dave.
I'll second it.
And we extending it through July 31st and revisiting it?
July 31st.
Okay, thank you.
Can we if we can have this like listed on the next agenda just
Please, and thank you.
thank you.
I wasn't even thinking about it until you just actually brought it up, so. I was actually just here for Robbins.
Yeah, I get no, but I mean, Dave, like you've held everything together. I mean, like I
No,
want to, like we need to do
We have a
right.
good team here, so.
I mean, we need to do right by you and everybody here.
Yeah.
It's you guys have rebuilt like crazy, so thank you, Robin. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Good job.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
So just to go back on the SRF loan that we're going
Mhm.
after, that the town appropriated money for. So we just sent all the appropriate paperwork over to Wright Pierce today, and then we'll submit to the DEP. So what we did is we actually had to have everything certified for the vote. That was for that 22 million that was
Town meeting.
right.
Yep.
So what we did also was Liza up to town clerk's office, we asked her to actually get all the last 3 votes, just in case it came up. We weren't sure, so we did the 2.5 million, that was in 2023, there was a 1 million and a 1.5.
Just so it's all locked down.
Right, and then we did the 12.5 in 2024, and then obviously the 22, so, which gives us that $35 million.
That was
So-
22 this time?
Yes, yeah. So that was submitted to DEP, and DEP got back to us already on
Okay.
that. So just to touch base on that too, the borrowers must submit a complete construction application that includes plans and specifications that are bid ready, along with the plans and specification checklist by October 3rd of 2020.
October 3rd.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just be real.
So this brings us back to the timeline we mentioned earlier.
Right. So we're still and I'm gonna touch base on this about Wright Pierce, but we're still waiting for the PDR, the preliminary design report from Wright Pierce, which we should have by the end of this week, beginning of next week, so you have a couple weeks to look at that before the next meeting. That brings us to design. And then also, you're looking at an October 3rd. So by the time you're all said and done, you have August and September for
Yep.
design and to put the pre-quals out for construction application.
Yeah, like is that pre-quals out too, or just to have a bid ready?
Complete construction application that includes plans and specifications that are bid ready.
Okay.
Which is, I'm gonna be realistic, that's almost impossible. So, and I'm also being realistic where this could drop that 22 and push it to the following. And I'm not sure completely on the schematics, because maybe there would be a miracle, but I just wanted
Yeah.
you to know, you're looking at August and September on a design and a brand new OPM on board, and to try to get that done in 2 months.
I mean, I hate to beat it, like, which brings us back to where we are with DPC. I mean, if we had them locked up by now, or very soon, I mean, we'd have a wing and a prayer.
Yeah, but it's not one of those things you wanna just rush into within.
No, I'm
You
not
know what I
arguing
mean?
that.
I mean, you'd have, if all fell into place and you like the contract from DPC, and it gets you into July, but there's going to be a push and pull for
Yeah,
a
but
little
we
bit on
need-
the contract.
I mean, I'm just saying with them, with our attorneys. Yeah, like I mean, yes, like we. I mean, like and again, like I mean, very probably aspirational here, but yeah, I mean, like we don't have time for this crazy like waiting for attorneys and this typical back and forth. I mean, like, we need to. Yes, I mean, like inherently, like we know we have to have a negotiation because that's part of the process that has to be due diligence. But I mean, if there's any way we can expedite this at all, it just helps. I mean, on the flip side, where does that bring us with DEP and the SRF? Do we have any idea yet? And then, like, say hypothetically, if we're not able to meet the October 3rd.
If we weren't able to meet that October 3rd, it would get kicked over to the following year.
Oh, like, and is there a guarantee we'd even be up for funding, or does that?
We're still on the top of the list, and we're not the only town.
Oh yeah, every time.
Right,
Yeah.
So there could be another couple towns in the same boat as us. So, I mean, from my understanding, this does happen quite a bit as far as design, especially of this magnitude. You're looking at a phase one of and this is 35
Oh, like I
million.
mean, like, and we don't. I want to rush through the design and have the due diligence on the design be, rush through either.
Correct.
I wholeheartedly.
And we've been
I
talking
just-
about the aspect of keeping it at preliminary design, which I feel that was the right thing to do.
I
Because
agree completely.
We
yeah.
don't have an OPM on board,
I agree.
and honestly, we don't have the PDR
no,
here yet. So,
I mean, maybe like based on all this, and I agree, like we're all speaking the same language here, but I'm wondering now, to really, make sure we remain like in DEP's good graces. I mean, is there any like expectation like setting, we can begin really doing with DEP now? Oh, so if they, I mean, no, they've already allocated like everything they're gonna allocate for this year, so they don't. I mean, like, I'm thinking, like, is there any way we can create some, like even additional goodwill with them now, letting them know now they can invite someone else in, but the timing just won't lend itself. I don't know, maybe like it would, maybe there's another project out there that's already, that they have the ability to, like invite in, and and trade places with us. Say hypothetically next fiscal year. I'm just wondering if there's opportunity for a discussion now to let DEP know, kind of exactly where they are, so they're not surprised.
Last minute.
Yeah,
well,
that's all I'm asking.
we'll keep in mind. So we have Wright Pierce is going to get us the preliminary design report.
Mm-hmm.
They're tentatively. I mean, I was going to touch base on this, but I can touch base on it now. They're tentatively. I've asked them to attend the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So we should be able to get this PDR, and then you should be able to, as a board, look at it for a couple weeks and have questions. And then that would be a relevant question for Wright Pierce on where does this leave us with our standing with DEP, and how do we
Okay.
move forward with this, and what are our realistic
Yeah, no, that makes
expectations,
because again,
and
like
what we should do, like what you said, to keep in the good graces right now.
I mean, like, and again, we're a great board, but like, I mean, like, and I can generally read a set of plans, but like, this is exactly why we would want to hire an OPM to begin with as well. So when we have a set of construction drawings, basically they're peer reviewed,
Correct.
Right.
and I mean, like, I'm preaching to the choir here, but that's a very, very, very small window of time.
And don't forget too, once you do get if DPC on board and you start getting into the design aspects of the plan, that alone, just for the design aspects, your first 2 months are the most pertinent of any design, on any project.
Mm-hmm.
So there's gonna be, Violi is gonna, hey, well, you know,
Process and everything.
right, you know, hey,
Yeah.
the clarify, it's electrical, this is where we
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
And a lot of that has been done in the preliminary design, which gets you ahead on the design. But there's gonna be some certain aspects of that design where there's gonna be, maybe we don't wanna do that in that design. Maybe we wanna do this. We don't need, 50 windows in the mechanical room
Mhm.
over that.
Mhm.
Maybe we don't need all that. Maybe we'll save 20,000 there and 30, do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So there's gonna be a lot of that, going on for the first 2 months.
Oh,
And then that's, if you happen by some miracle, and I'm just a realist, if you
Yeah,
happen
no, no,
it's some
yeah, you're
miracle
making sense
that
there.
DPC is on board and 2 months, I mean,
That's
that's tight.
I can see a lot of change orders.
Yeah.
yeah, no, and that's what
Yeah.
we want to prevent.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, we
Right.
saw what happened with the generator project.
Mhm.
Right.
That wasn't anyone. It was a generator project. It wasn't
Right.
anyone's fault.
The first
Yeah.
few months of a project of
Yeah.
this scope are the most important because you're gonna hash
Yep.
everything up.
Yeah, like which brings me just back to the fact that we should like really just begin really thinking about some type of messaging preemptively like with DEP.
Mhm. Well, like I said, we just sent that over today.
Yeah.
We just wanted to be proactive on the funding, so we literally send all the certified in there, and then we were acknowledged for that we met the June 30th deadline, has been met, and then they did send over, that was the next deadline. And obviously I have some questions, and I wouldn't at this stage be preemptive to be reaching out to DEP yet, just so it's not.
Yeah,
Maybe-
no. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard because we're a public meeting right now.
Right.
Someone from DEP could be watching the meeting.
Right.
But I mean, that's what
hopefully they have
happens.
something better to do, but.
God, help everybody. But
Right.
Can,
Uh,
can I ask a question? So
yeah.
do we have enough time, because we ran into a problem anyway with the other financing that we got early, and we started to pay interest on it
the
before we even
arbitrage.
spending the
Right.
money. So is it beneficial for us to move it out to next October anyway?
Right.
Because we have enough money to get us through this year on the design, and then we're not paying interest on money that we took in prematurely.
Right, we touched base on that a couple meetings ago, when I said that you still had that 12.5 to get us going
Okay. Yep.
on that.
Yep.
That 22 million is gonna be in the construction phase,
Yep.
help pay for OPMs.
In
So-
terms of where the cash flow ships out to.
Right.
Okay.
So if you look at that funding, when that's one of the reasons why we also kicked over all those allocated funds to DEP, they see what we have set up for that funding
Okay.
before that 22 million.
Okay.
So they may be looking at that right now and, not know where we are submittal wise. So
Yep.
again, we may not use that 12.5 million till 2026.
Yep.
If then, do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
That makes
And then
perfect
that 22 million may not even be needed till,
27.
right,
sense. Okay.
or
Yeah, no, that
then.
makes
So
sense.
it still may align for us, but obviously we wanna be proactive in keeping the ball moving.
Wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, like, I just don't want to risk long term the 22 million.
No,
That's. I mean, I think we're all.
yeah,
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you for all your efforts and work. That's huge on that.
so that, I have, one of my items was Wright Pierce on the PDR, so we kinda touched base on that. One of the other things I know we've been working with Veolia and Megan and her staff on maintenance items, so we're trying to, I know we touched base on it a little bit, we're trying to upgrade like all the substations, and any of the maintenance or the items or anything that we feel, we wanted to make sure those are all up to par
Mm-hmm.
before we start into our big project. That's why we did those articles to help alleviate some of those, the pump issues, any of those upgrades that we need down out in those stations, to get those all up to where they need to be. So we're not coming to the board and saying, hey, look, we got this down, we have this down, you know, we're trying to deal with those maintenance issues now, which I think we have a pretty good plan moving forward on getting that done. And then,
You still have 13?
We do,
Yeah.
which is good.
in the two stations,
The new ones.
Spruce and Butternut, have been, well, those were completely done. Well, you were part of the,
So
you know, the one on
15
Butternut when we
15
did
now?
that. Yeah.
So there's 15 now?
No, they were just
There was
upgraded.
only 13.
There was
They were just-
13.
Yeah.
There was always 13.
Yeah.
They upgraded it, so it's no longer a.
Wet well type. Well, now
It was
it's a
dry
wet well, yeah. Yeah.
It was an air compressor type.
Yeah, those are the ones you went down in like 15
tin
feet,
can.
20 feet
Yeah.
in a can, and all the mechanicals down. Now it's just used as a wet well and everything's up top, complex, so. But those have been upgraded, and we're looking at some of the other issues, even just basic maintenance issues like
Yeah.
paint and, you know, the roof and the soffits
Yeah.
and the pumps, and Megan's looking at the pump aspects, and so to try to bring all those up to date, you know, if that makes sense, so we're kind of proactive on it, getting that upgraded. Cause you know, everybody's been so, you know, about the plant, you know, the plant, the
I
plant,
know,
the
but there's
plant.
more
line
to
on-
the
right.
operation, yep.
So we just, you know, trying to get ahead of that. And then we're gonna start getting into the sewer line maintenance that we did overnight last summer. So once we get into the end of July and August, we're gonna go out to some of those sewer lines and start, you know, vacuum jetting those. Again, we're gonna do a couple nights a week and try to spread it out into the summer, where we started a little later last year. It got us into late fall, got cold. So we'll try to do 2 nights a week, and we're gonna try to do some preventative maintenance on some of those lines. We'll start back up, we'll continue on Reservoir and Hingham Street, Webster Street, and there's a few others. So that's essentially it on the maintenance. And then the last is the metering and sewer manhole inspections, which I know touch base, we've subcontracted that out as part of our I&I program with Weston and Sampson. I'm going to be, now that we got the DP submission and the OPM submission, we're gonna be, I will give them the schematic on the GIS on all the manholes, the numbers. They're gonna be setting that up in July, new fiscal year, where they come out. We have a project that's been on hold for a couple of years on Center Ave, and there was originally 10 manholes that had to be replaced. There's 12 now. So I ordered those manholes a couple of years ago, so we're getting caught up, but also as part of the Sharps submittal program with the state, their requirements have changed since when I originally did the field work on that. I think it was 2.5 years ago. And then, so all the manholes inspections and the way you do DP comps on the I&I is changed. So now we have to hire a company to come out and look at those manholes and say, look, this is what we're getting, this is the submittal, because you get DEP credits for the I&I once you do a rehab of a manhole. So they're gonna come out, look at the ones on Center Ave. I know we touched base on the one on Goddard Ave, so that's another I&I, because we're gonna put it under an I&I, because it will help solve some of our I&I issues, and it's also, we got a lot of infiltration over there. It's literally, you pop the manhole, there's groundwater coming in 2 of the manholes, so it would be a good project for us to get done, and we'll solve a lot of issues over there.
And we're hiring an engineer for that?
Weston
The
and Sampson,
Center
I put it under,
Okay.
yeah, it's put it under their scope. So we changed the scope up so they could do, up to, also as part of their contract, 30 manhole inspections, which we knew. And then the lastly was Concord Street, which we're gonna do the sewer manhole inspections, and also they're gonna do lengths of metering. Because we feel like we have a lot of I&I infiltration on that pipe, because it's been cut into so many times over, and it's an old 30-inch pipe, and it comes into the plant, so we feel like we're getting a lot of infiltration. So those will be in segments. We have the one at the front of the plant, you'll have one at, say, Summer Street in Concord, you'll have one at Linwood Terrace, Shaw Ave, and so on, going down the street. And then we'll be able to meter out and find out where we're getting the infiltration.
Those are flow meters.
Flow meters,
Okay.
correct. And then we'll be doing visual inspections too.
Okay.
So all the visual inspections will happen in one day. And then the flow meters will be installed at another point, and then we'll have all that. So that'll be part of the project. In addition to our other I&I program, they're also doing the rehab
Okay.
rehab work for us, and that will be going out to, they'll be putting that out to bid, so the rehab company will be coming in.
Good.
So, that's essentially my update.
Busy summer. Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Daily update?
So for the month of May, our average flow was 2.6, meaning we violated for the month because we exceeded the 2.5 MGE. Our rain was 3.8 inches. It was that one day that ended up coming down. Other laboratory stuff, our required testing met all the state requirements. As of right now, our lab testing is done either in-house or sent out to a certified lab. We ended up processing 371,000 gallons of sludge through the Bell filter press, sending 120 tons out through some roll-offs that we usually, it was seven times. We ended up having 7 roll-offs coming in and out for the month of May. And then for maintenance, like Dave ended up saying, we're looking into the stations and rehabbing everything, so we're kinda going, right now we're doing 4 straight, trying to focus on that. I also wanna focus on the smaller ones, cause I don't think there's too much that really needs to be done. There are some stations that the floats are not properly working, so we have to inspect all the floats, and the floats are, there's 2 floats usually in the wet well. One is high float level and one's a low level, so it's very crucial, especially the high float. So we're going detail to detail, just making sure everything. So as of right now, the reason why forest is an issue is because besides the fact that there's squirrels in the roof, we ended up losing a pump. We thought it was clogged with rags, and when we went to go pull it, we couldn't find the cable to bring it up. So one of my guys had to fish it down, bring it up, pull it up. Also noticed that the rails that it sits on, one of them's bent, so it came off the rail. So that's an issue. And then when they pulled the pump up, the cable got sucked into the pump. So I just had a company out today who can do all that and rebuild the pumps. Oh, and the pump, the spare pump that's sitting in the well house, we thought was refurbished. It's not.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he's gonna actually tomorrow he's gonna take both pumps back to his shop. He said the one that has the cable wrapped around it, the impeller probably might be ruined, so he'll give us a quote before he does any work. But as long as we have one good one to be rebuilt to actually do the job, that would work. So he said he could fix the rail too, so yeah. So that's the start. And then we also, there's Hingham South, Hingham North, there's stationary guidelines set up there. All the years I've been here, I've never seen it actually function under load or even tested under load. I was always told you couldn't. So we ended up trying at least Hingham South. We still have Hingham North to do. And we exercised the check arms and the valves, and it worked. It did suck up a rag, so they had to declog it, but it actually functioned, which was a really good thing. I wasn't sure if it would, but it's sitting there, so.
I know one of them, the pump stations, where's the other one on Hill Street?
That's over by the
Luca?
Hearts.
Oh,
Pond.
right down there, okay, I got it, okay,
Yeah.
yep,
This is north.
yep.
Is that the one you were thinking?
I forgot about the one by Luca.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I always forget the south one.
Yeah, you can drive right by it.
Yeah.
That one's across from,
Before
you get to the Glen,
condos, yeah,
place
yeah,
across the street.
yeah.
And then pretty much besides that, at the plants, there's a lot of things that we need cleaning, tank cleaning. So I'm gonna bring sores out to clean the grid chamber and then tackle the primary tanks just to clean everything out. Try to do that yearly so you have no issues when you have high flows, which takes up space
Yeah.
if you have more stuff in your tank, so.
I know that's awesome, Megan, like, you're focused on PM and everything, it's been great, thank you. Is that everything?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Now for the best part of the agenda, it's always a game. Our future and upcoming meetings. I'm just kidding, so, seems like we're back on the last Monday of the month. Schedule?
I may not be long.
That's the 28th, which we kind of thought that,
Yeah,
which might help us with some of the other.
I mean, the 28th works for me, and obviously, depending on the hiring
Sean's
process.
still working?
If I do have a candidate,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I can reach out to you and see if we can
so, yeah,
put together an ad hoc meeting
Yeah.
if we need to.
yeah, that's fine, that works. Or the 28th,
Right.
July 28th for our next meeting.
All right.
Walter, I'm gonna reach out if we have a viable candidate for the superintendent position. I'll reach out to the board and see if we can have an ad hoc meeting at some point before that.
Oh, yeah.
All right? Yeah.
Is 28th, Robin and Megan work for you both?
Yeah.
In July? Okay, perfect. I will plan on that.
David, works for you?
Yeah. Time?
I don't wanna jinx myself, but like, I was here back at 5:35. So that tells me that 5:30 I'll be flying in here on 2 wheels. 6 o'clock there would be a little bit of a sweet spot, but like, I don't wanna hold anyone till 6:30 either.
I'm fine, whatever you need.
It's
It's
like you're at your
6:30?
happy place when you came in the front door at 6:30. You were actually here at 6:20,
I know, so at 6 o'clock would be fine.
so you still want to come in on 2 wheels, is that right?
No, I was back in Rockland by 5:35.
Alright.
Oh, you guys are relaxed.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in shorts.
So what's the
28th at 6 o'clock?
Yeah, 20th at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, with that, an entertain motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's a vote. Thank you.